Hello everybody. Today myself and Free are going to be taking a look at Air Flix, which came out of the UK Games Expo. So we have here a dogfighting World War II game for, I believe, 2 players. And it's a game of manual dexterity.
Yes. See, I saw John play this at UK Games Expo, and this really excited John because of the certain technique you use when you move things in the game. And I don't know if you can guess, Air Flix, I do wonder what that might be. I do wonder.
Okay, so if I give you that box for a moment. First off, we have a fairly substantial...
That's great.
...mat. I'll hold it up there, because if I hold it up over to the other side, we'll not see Free anymore.
I'm already getting lost under the desk.
But that's quite a nice hex map.
Yeah, it is. It's quite high detailed as well.
Yeah.
Really high.
And we have on here various things that affect gameplay. So we have flak markers. We have areas of cloud cover with the white lines around them. And then obviously you would put your objectives and that sort of thing on here as well. So you get your lovely setup for England's green and pleasant land. So that's nice. So we'll set that to one side. And then, if I take the rulebook.
See, what I like about the rulebook is this is not a novel.
Yeah, it is 10 pages. Can't say further than that.
No.
Explaining how the game works. So the planes, the squadron board, pilot cards, sticks, the map itself, and what you need to do to prepare to play. And then the last 5 pages are actually your mechanics, which will not surprise you. It's relatively simple. It's more about flicking things around the table. Yeah,
absolutely. You got to flick your planes around the table too. That's what you need to do.
So, have a look at these then. Well, that's hefty. So the planes themselves are, I want to say they're plastic cast.
They do look plastic.
Yeah, they're not resin.
No.
And they're pre-coloured as well, so you get a set of German and a set of British planes. Obviously
nothing stopping you from painting them?
No, except laziness, I think, is what's going to stop me from painting them.
Yeah.
And then we have the discs themselves that look like they're about 3mm acrylic with your various... I suppose, arcs on here as well. And you just plug them in. So the majority go on to the small, then the larger German bomber plugs in. I think it just plugs in that way. Trying to line it up nose. And that's you. And that's all you need to do to get your game ready.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're flicking. Which in and of itself is novelty.
It is.
Do you want to crack open some of the little bags with the cards in them and things like that? Well, I do some of these.
Yep. So in here, we have got a set of cards and some components. Oh.
So we have pilot cards, and then we also have the pegs to lock in the dashboards.
Yep.
So I'll grab a dashboard out.
There you go. So I'll check.
And I'll pop some planes over to one side. So dashboard, as you can see here at the bottom, you have, I think they're damage trackers, which you use with these little dials and these pegs to actually make your markers then. And when you're playing, you'll use a variety of pilots.
Yep.
So your squadron will be, let's say we'll go for the Germans here since you've given me 2 of them already. And a third.
German.
Happy
there you
days. Go. So when you're playing, when you activate a plane to maneuver, the first thing you would do, let's take this big boy here, let's take our bomber. You can either rotate it on the hex it's in and then give it a flick from the back arc, or you give it a flick first and then rotate it afterwards. So it is manual dexterity.
Yep.
Once you've done that, you can then slide him forward to show he's activated, which is quite nice.
Yeah, that is good.
If you mess up, you slide it up to show that you've had a minor inconvenience. If you haven't flicked it hard enough to get out of the hex it started in, it can actually take damage as you raffle your engine. If you do something particularly bad, like crash into another plane, then you can have major damage on there as well.
Yes.
And if you go off the board, then you can be forced into a queue to come back. So you can be waiting. Waiting and then ready and then good to launch, and that's your reinforcement, and he's back in the game. So that's quite nice that you've got the sort of everything in one neat little area.
I like the way that if it does go off the board, you do have the chance to bring it back in.
Yeah. If you overcompensate, if you flick too hard.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to flick too hard. That would be terrible.
Until you become a professional at this.
Well, yeah. Being a professional is always handy.
But as well as that, you've got the British ones as well.
Yep.
As well as the Germans.
So, flicking that way around.
That way.
So we have Bolton Paul Defiant, a Hawker Hurricane, and a Supermarine Spitfire as well, which makes sense.
And stickers.
And stickers to designate squads.
Stickers?
And then with these, you can see things like Arc of Fire. So the Hawker Hurricane has a relatively narrow band. So even though you're going to be using the same disc, I suppose, for each of them, you're only going to be using the sort of 45-degree band in the centre.
Yep.
Some of them have larger, like the Bolton Paul has this massive arc that's almost 180. So it shows, in fact, I think it's to the rear as well. Must be a rear-mounted thing. Right. Yeah, he's got a friend in the back.
I really like that you don't need to remember this from your big set and catalogue of rules. That it's laid out on the cards for you and you don't have to memorise how each one moves. That's a really nice feature as cards.
It also gives you things like the cost to bring them in and then how many dice you're going to be rolling when you're actually fighting. And they are just simple bespoke dice. So a target is a hit and a blank is not a hit.
No.
So it will not take you long to get up and playing this. It looks like a fun little setup where you can just flick your way to victory.
Yes, pick up and play without too much pain.
I mean, there's an awful lot of dogfighting games out there.
Yeah.
I quite like the idea of this simply because of the dexterity mechanic involved.
It is different.
Because a lot of times there's actually the one for the Bolton. A lot of times I will come up with excellent tactics in dogfighting games and then lose completely. Whereas this, at least I have the option.
You've got control.
You've got control.
Yeah.
If you are attempting to fly past another plane, you just get your opponent to lift it up. You flick your plane underneath and then they set it back.
No collisions.
No collision. No collisions unless, that's if they're in the same hex or a nearby hex to you whenever you're doing this. If they're far away and you actually just knock them off, then yes, that is a collision, at which point major damage is done to you or catastrophic damage, and you can see the plane sort of come a cropper in short order. There's nothing clever in it like scenarios. It's a very basic dogfighting game, but I think the guys have got something here that they could expand upon with new planes, possible scenarios, maybe new maps as well.
Yeah. Bringing in different types of plane from different eras, different wars, and definitely expanding on different play mats as well.
Yeah.
There's so much that can be done.
Yeah, and also the pilot cards. I mean, it wouldn't take much to do a little sort of blister pack with whatever it happens to be, a couple of new pilots and maybe a couple of
larger units.
Yeah, larger units or new squadrons or whatever they want. But as a little self-contained bespoke little dogfighting game, I think it's got a lot of charm to it.
It has got a lot of charm, and I think as well for kind of board gamers as well that are looking to transition over, this is a really nice start without thinking too much maths as well, because you don't necessarily, all you have to do is rely on the dice.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's an ideal game as well for people who are looking to get younger players involved.
Yeah.
Because you're not dealing with complicated rules.
No.
It's, can you flick a plastic disc across a mat? I think most people can.
I'd say so.
And yes, it has that sort of dexterous element, so younger players may not be as au fait with it, but it's very simple for them, and it's a lot of fun just knocking stuff around a board. It
is, and it's a lot more satisfying, isn't it, to do that damage yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Very much so. But that's it. That's Air Flix Dogfighters from Dice Sports Limited. Let us know what you think below, folks. We're going to move on.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.